Sam, you're into a
Some,
call.
yeah, his mic is off. Mhm.
Yeah, Sam, I think.
Is it better?
There's an echo.
Okay.
That's a Sam Momo gun.
Wait, can you guys
Yeah.
hear me now? Is it better?
Okay, yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. Because I think I figured out what the problem is. But anyway,
No problem.
guys, thank you again. Thanks for joining us. To everybody joining us on YouTube, Facebook, and audio platforms. We'd like to welcome everybody here. Again, my name is Sam, your host, as well as my co-host, Misty and Jeff, joining us from Ghana. I'm trying as hard as I can not to look at the camera because the more I look at it, the more I see these United jerseys and everything. And it's given what Chelsea is going through right now, I really don't want to hear from these two guys. But yeah, I know we skipped going to last week, but Jeff would like to welcome you, as well as
Thank you, thank
Misty,
you.
who is on the line. We'd like to welcome everybody joining us. As usual, we do have a lot to discuss today, and I would like to welcome each and everyone watching us today. Jeff, some welcome words for your viewers and fans as well as supporters. Welcome again.
Yeah, I think it's been a couple weeks since I think I missed last week and the week before.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so apologies, but I'm back. Yeah, it's been interesting relocating to Ghana, but Ghana is taking me in. So reporting live from 10 miles away from. I mean, we're not far from each other,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
5,000 miles away from Sam.
you know what? Given the current situation with United lifting the trophy today, I'm actually glad about with the whole mileage between us. So don't worry about it. I'm fine.
Oh man, you're so lucky because like we live like what 2 minutes walk away from each other.
Yeah, and I know I wouldn't have. I
I would have been
definitely
at your
would have
door.
locked my doors and everything, knowing what has happened. Misty,
Oh man.
welcome once again.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so, guys, welcome. Before we actually get started, we would like to start this segment with the with a section called painfully. I mean, it's sad but painfully true. And today we actually do have this photo, and I think many of you guys, many fans, have actually seen this. This circulating the web. This is correct me if I'm wrong. The South Sudan, goalie who
Young man.
claimed, and he claims he's 17 years old. And as sad and funny as this actually sounds, we do is something that we've always talked or just you know just just talked about just a little bit, but I think it's starting to get worse, and it's starting to get very bad. And given that the growth that we're actually just hoping to see in African football and everything now. I mean, see, I want you to take a lead at this, right? So this is a referee. I mean, not a referee. I'm sorry, a goalie who claims to be 17 years. So I just want you to take a. What do you think about this?
Well, it might possibly be true. South Sudan is a war zone. Maybe he has had a lot of bullets and other things in his face and bomb blasting in his face. So that's increased his growth by, it's scientific. You never know. He actually looks like an old man, a great grandfather, but maybe it's the war. So he was maybe a rebel leader. So he had a lot of punches to his face. So you never know. Maybe that's actually his age. Since FIFA has accepted him in the tournament, he's still playing, so it's approved. There's nothing you can do about it. But on a more serious note, this thing happening in African football, it's bad. I was thinking that because of the football academy system that is going in the continent, so we'll stop all these age cheating, these things. But I don't think some countries are up to it yet because I think for some time now, for the past few years, we've realized Ghana has not qualified for even the under 17 African under 17 tournament, which leads to the the world, the under 17 World Cup because we are using the right ages. And it's but for the future, I think it's good. So some countries have still not catch up with the growing trend of academies using the right ages. So we should allow him. One day we'll find out. When he's 25, he can't play. He retired at the age of 25. You know. So, that's it.
Jeff, how bad do you think this is? As funny as this sounds, and when I saw this during the week, it's one of those things where doing your research or whatnot, you actually see online, and you just kind of close your phone or your computer, log back in to make sure that you're actually seeing exactly what it is that you're seeing. And it's one of those things I had to kind of shut my phone off, open it and I read the whole story again. How do you? Hey, what are the impact that is having on kind of like what Mr. said? Ghana has not been able to perform since we had all these measures to make sure that these things should not happen. How impactful is this thing to the success of African football, Jeff?
So, I mean, I think the impact is there everyone to see. Look at, I don't know if you guys heard the story of Samuel. He's the president of the Cameroon Football Association. And I think this was last month. This is not too long ago. He dismissed 32 players. The players who were actually in contention for the under 17 tournament.
Right.
And he dismissed them. And he's like, no, like he's introducing the standard where it's like they're trying to stamp out this problem. So my thing is, and like most products, right? For me, I like to kind of bring a balance to it. This is not the first time. But then also, this is not an African problem. That's the point I want to highlight. And I'm not going to excuse us, right? But when I read this, the article that I read this in, it talked about how even I think his name was Ramsey, Sarah Ramsey or something like that. He was a guy who was like captain, or he was the manager or something like that, who captained like England to like the only World Cup they won in 1966. He changed his birthday, so just so he could get a professional contract as a player after World War II. And then like in Brazil, it's actually also a problem in Brazil. I think Carlos Alberto was one of the players who won the World Youth Championship at 25 years old. Right? And it's a tournament for under 20 years children. So the thing is, it's not an African problem. The thing with Africans is when we see something, we abuse it, right? If it's like if people are changing it by a few months, just to like being able to stuff to it. So it's like, okay, because this guy, let's say he to change his age, and he said, okay, maybe 6 months younger than he is. It's not that egregious of a problem, right? We always take it to the extreme, and that's where it becomes counterproductive. Like the purpose of people changing is, like whatever potential, positive impact that we're thinking of it, we abuse it to the point where it starts having negative detrimental effects on the game. So for me, the impact has been the fact that we always shine with these youth tournaments, World Youth Championship, or under 17 World Cups under 20. But the reality of it is, it ends up hurting us once we get to the next level. And the crazy thing is, the next level usually comes, and we've talked about this on the show a lot, at length. It's when you get into the majors, into the pros, into like the club um, teams, like the starting teams and things like that. That's where really the money is. So if you're doing this to be able to get access to opportunities you can't get, you think because you're seeing African players right when they get to the point where they are now eligible to get like the bountiful contract that they can get. It's like the 5-year, $200 million contracts and whatnot. African players are not getting those, right? Yeah, and we're hurting ourselves in the long run because we want to be able to, eat some small chops today. So for me, there is the impact on the individual level. There is the impact on the national level, where our national teams are not able to compete at the levels, the older levels that we can compete and be able to actually, bring something home, whether it's a medal, whether it's like some cash or something like that. So it's hurting us. But I mean, like most African problems, everybody thinks about themselves first before they think about the collective. And
Mhm.
so I personally don't know how, we're going to. I mean, I do know in the sense that there are still, gate watchers and there are still administrative, personnel who are making this possible. And should they decide to actually act right, they can put an end to this. But until those incentive structures that they all have are kind of taken away, this is not going to stop.
Hmm. Well, you know what? There's a list that I'm actually trying to project, and they're like kind of like what you said, Jeff. Before I missed the sorry to take this off of your table, but before you
Okay.
go, and Jeff mentioned something that I kind of want our viewers to just be aware of. These things that is happening, where Africa has kind of taken it to the extreme. It's not Africa is not the only nation doing it. There's a list of a lot of players, even in the MLS, and folks coming from Mexico or some of the South American countries, changing their ages just so they can still play at a youth level, to the point where they get to the MLS. Just a few years ago, they actually, busted a few people, and then they were put on, indefinite suspension or leave, but at the rate at which we are doing it is the actual cause of our downfall. And that's the thing that I'm trying to, again, we're trying to figure out how that could be stopped or whatnot. Looking at this, I think I missed this. That he might have fought in a refugee camp, or he might have fought in a war or whatnot. But this is bigger than he himself, is bigger than everything. This is the future of the game, and this thing impacts the game. And I think, for any football fan, this is the reason why, um, England decided not to play in the under 17. I'm not sure. Miss, correct me if I'm wrong. Is it under 17 or under 21 World Cup? Because they said until we actually able to figure out, the ages and the actual ages of these African players who come out there looking like their grandfathers, they're not going to risk putting their kids on the same field with them because they're scared of, colliding and just, young kids playing with adults. So this is a lot bigger than age. It's a lot bigger than, what he represents, for South Sudan, letting officials letting them through, letting them register. It is actually the future of the game. And the fact is, Amisti, how are we able to put an end to this?
Well, okay. So, this has always been an issue, and we hope to put a stop to it. And for Africans, we look at just winning the tournament,
Mm,
making them. We don't look at the future. FIFA instituted these tournaments for growth of the players, for gradual process, so that when the players get to the main World Cup, they won't be shaken by the stage. That is the main aim, and to just develop players, not for you winning the tournament, for you being the best. See, in 2009, with the squad that the Ghanaian team that won the under 20 World Cup, of course, and the under 20 African Cup, how many of them are still playing regular football till now, apart from Baby Ali? Ajiman Baby retired, Dominic Aduya, Ransford Sey retired. He's now working in, I think, a post office in Germany. Well, David Adi, all the whole team, none of them are playing because the aim was just win the tournament. If the boys use their real age, and in 10 years, I'm sure Ghana would have won the AFCON by now because they would have played together. Because it's the same crop of players, like about eight of them that went to the World Cup in 2010, and we did very well. So if they had played, they had used their right ages, we would have maintained the same team, we would have played together, known themselves, and we will win a trophy or two. But to solve this problem, I think we should just accept the fact that these tournaments are not just for the game, but for
Mm.
development. That is what we should put in the players, in the FA or the manager's mind. That you don't have to win a tournament to say that you are the best. Just use it to develop your players, and that's what I suggest for someone Eto again or Cameroon. You don't need just use their right ages. Because if a player is actually 17 or 16 and plays and goes to the academy system, plays one or two tournaments, they don't win, but the player is moved on to a better academy in Europe or something for development. In about 5 years, you just have the result, and that's what is showing. See, almost all the, especially in Ghana, the players we are calling to the national team born outside, Tariq Lamptey and co. Tariq Lamptey was in Ghana for trials for the under 20 under 17. He wasn't chosen because, of course, he didn't pay something. But now you are using him.
Mhm.
How
But
many
then
of
also,
our
sorry, I don't mean to
yes,
cut you off. He also may
yeah,
have not made the team because he was maybe truly 17 or 18 at the time. And
great.
he was
So
vying for a position against someone who was 26,
yes,
who was
so
also saying
his
they were
his
18.
his shots and things will be for small people, and
Yeah.
the older men will be given the shot to break the post and other things. And those
Hmm.
are some of the issues we are facing. So, and now the funny thing is, those people who are mostly born in Europe and outside, we are using them instead because they have the right ages. So if we really want to develop as a continent to Africa, we should just accept that these tournaments are not for trophy. Ideally, they should just be like a normal tournament for everyone to play. No winner, just to develop the players, and we'll be fine. So that's it.
Well,
Completely.
see, um, we look back at our national team, and it's something that you said. Some of the there's one particular player that I was actually my cousin was actually friends with, and Liadi, and he was a very young player at the time. I remember back in 2010 when they went to the World Cup, he was very young. Um, Relatively young, and at this point, he should be playing football, not have retired from age, issues or nothing like that. But kind of like what you're saying, these players go in there, with the mentality that what, I'm just here to win a tournament. I'm just here to win, rather than I'm here to build for the future and whatnot. However, let's look at our current situation as whole Africa as a whole, right? If a player comes in and says, what, I'm here to build, or I kind of want to build for the future, is he really given the opportunity to shine, to perform at the highest level that he needs to? Looking at the likes of Pogba, looking at the likes of Deco, looking at all the likes of all these folks who are not late boomers like Conte and all of them, right? Look back at in Africa, when if someone comes out, as a very young child or young kid, do we necessarily give the person a chance to really shine as a young kid, or we kind of want them to be old enough?
See, it's we don't. The straight answer is we do not. And the problem is that it's we're thinking. Look at this. Then it bothers me because it seeps into every aspect of our culture, right?
Mhm.
Recently, I had a funeral in the family, and the family goes to sit down to talk about what they want to do, and very clearly we already draw the line in the phone call out, young people, old people, and they're the line that they've drawn, old people. It's like the funny thing is the young people are the ones who are going to pay for everything that we're discussing, right? But you see it in politics, you see it in our social interactions, you see it in churches, you see it everywhere, right? We're not necessarily thinking of how do we actually put something in place to make sure that when these young people get there, they actually succeed, right? They're
Mhm.
they're, they're set up to be successful. We're always thinking about, well, what is the short term gain? What can we get out of it? So,
Right.
to Lucy's point, is this tournament and this tournament only. No one is sitting here thinking about the next tournament. Interesting, unless it's a world war or some crazy thing. There's going to be an AFCON every 2 years. There's going to be a World Cup every 4 years. If you don't win this one, that's fine. There are so many countries who didn't make, this past World Cup, who
Mhm.
are putting the things in place to try to make the next one. We have that time. We have that luxury. It's like you know for a fact that, and the one thing I like about football, what I like about sports in general, is it's meritocratic.
Mm.
Like unless there's a there's a referee who's cheating or something like that. When two teams go on the field, if one is more prepared than the other, it doesn't matter what your history is. It doesn't matter what your future is. The one who's more prepared is going to beat the one who's not. So my thing is like these are the things that we need to think about, right? It's like, okay, how can we get our players as prepared as can be? We talked about this a few months ago, right? When the AFCON wrapped up, I think this was right before the World Cup qualifiers with Nigeria, and we're saying, look, Ogardo had just taken over the team. We're like, there's no expectation that they're going to go to the World Cup and go. This should be the opportunity for us to really begin building that chemistry, begin building that long-term strategy, begin building that long-term plan for how do we prepare ourselves for the next coming AFCON and the next World Cup, right? But and you think if that was the mentality, right? Right now, if you look at Ghana, it's like in terms of our forwards, or midfields and forwards, we're looking at like Dean, we're looking at Kudus, these young guys, right? You would have
Mm.
thought that okay, this is an opportunity at a very high level. How do we have them start building that chemistry? They didn't get more than 15 minutes of playing time together because the goal was not how do we build for the next option. It's like once we're in it, we lose all mentality and we're just trying to
Sure.
win
Yeah.
right there. And the thing is, we sacrifice tomorrow just so we get something out of today. The thing, look at what we got work on. We didn't really get anything out of it. There was no tangible, achievement out of the World Cup. But the opportunity that we had, we can build on it. We also sacrificed that opportunity. So think about it, you're like, look, what are we moving? What we're not working for today, but what we're doing is also not working for tomorrow. So I would say it in English, but like, yeah, play on night about it. It's like, are we moving forward? But we're moving no progress being made because we're so short term. I think, and that's obviously talking about that I can agree is that it's detrimental to youth, but you would think someone, okay, let us sacrifice this current tournament, but it's like, hey, let's be realistic about what our chances in the current tournament. Maybe they're not great, but we're going to use them almost like a cheat sheet. Okay, top team performing. How are they themselves? If we want to get this is how France, then we track how France plays because we've played against a France, we've played against a Croatia, we've played against, and then we can track how they play for the next 4 years so that we do face them again. We have history with people who've been tracking. We have the same players who are doing it's like you're thinking long term. We're not doing that. So it's mental to the youth. It is mental to the adults because I mean, for instance, everyone who featured in in this work, what did they have to show? Nothing. They have nothing to show for it. So if it was structured to make them successful, they weren't successful. But it wasn't structured for the young people. So it's like we're in this circle that just come out of it, but we don't know how to get out of it. And maybe we do know how to get out of it, but we're not willing to do what it takes to get out of it.
I mean, see, take it on, and tell us your opinion, right, about how this whole thing is structured, right? I think Jeff, pointed out a lot of things. We have this idea of wanting to build it, but we're not doing it the right way. We're paving the way, but not in the right way. I think when you talk to a lot of people in Ghana about Ghana football, when you talk to a lot of people about African football, even coaches, right? Coaches in the Premier League, La Liga, anywhere, everybody likes African football. But at what point are we able to shape it in a way that it stands out, not necessarily to an individual, but for the whole like kind of a global benefit, do we necessarily are we built or have we structured it in a way that it caters to the young talent, or we have actually structured it in a way that you have to be old enough in order for us to recognize you?
Well, so I think in Africa we have naturally talented sports people. So it all boils down to the development. But the issue is, you know, the leaders are very selfish, self-centered, and want to use this most of these tournaments to make money for themselves. So they come and promise us that okay, the next AFCON, the next this, we are going to take the cup. We are going to bring the trophy home to bring a lot of peace and stability and to reduce the economic pressures in the country. So then what the politician believes that is true and takes it up and is ready to support and pumps money into it. And now they leave the development aspect and go and bring their own players. You see, so for me, for instance, just the immediate World Cup that passed, we we could have we could have just told everyone that okay, we have a new crop of players. Most of them are extremely young. Let this tournament just be like a development tournament. Let's look at the next tournament or the next AFCON and see what we can do. But they came to tell us, including the Minister for Sport, that oh, we are going to bring the trophy. The list to be a semi-final qualification, and that's what they told us. So
And I
now
don't
we
get
have to
I don't
go.
get those promises that they make.
I'm
Like, what's
shocked.
the pressure?
What's the pressure? Because they know it's a political tool to get money from the presidency, or so they just say okay. And because of the economic issues in Ghana, when there's the and we are football loving nation, when the tournament goes well, okay, everyone will become people not talk about politics, people not talk about the economy for some time, and so the presidency uses that like another form of comfort for us. Yes, but they know it's not true. You understand? So they're not being real. So they leave the development stage. And now, so when they go, they want to bring the old players to play, forget the development stage. You understand? This is a tournament could have taken about two, three, four players from the maybe past under 17 who didn't qualify for their AFCON because they use their role age. Because the under 17, they use the MRI scan where they are able to catch those older, but under 20s, they so we could have just planned and say, okay, we're doing ourselves maybe. I don't know if we had a former GFA before GFA president before Kofi Ben Kofi. He had a
Mhm.
5 year development plan, and that is what brought up on all these players. He had a plan. So if you remember, most of those Can 2002 and other things were not performing well, but we had a plan, and it's the same crop of players he had that took us to the 2006 World Cup. And that is what we need. We should have a plan, a blueprint that, okay, forget 2 World Cups. Giving ourselves 10 years, we want to be in it, we want to achieve it. What do we do? We graduate players. We have, I heard something and I felt sad. A whole Morocco has set up an office in France to woo all the foreign based or foreign born players who are like born outside but would like to play for the Moroccan national team and instill their culture and advise them or talk to them and coach them to play for the national team. This is a country that has a plan. So you not just walk into a team, but before you come, they'll talk to your parents, advise you, and the benefit of playing for the Moroccan national team than any other country. Learn the culture. So when you come in, then you just fit into the team. And that is easy. But we don't have a plan. We just wait. When the tournament is coming, then we have about 5 or 6 foreign based players. We just put them into the team. And you expect them to gel and come and tell us we're doing it. It will never work. God is not a magician.
And the sad part is, I completely agree with you. I mean, the sad part too is, you would think when they do all of this, it's for some $50 million that's pot of gold that's at the end of all of this. So it's like,
Yes.
I'm not saying that justifies the ill doing and everything that they do, but if when you go look into it, it's peanuts that they get out of it, right?
Yes.
Because you can't tell me that we're doing all those illegal things and age cheating, like pay for play and all of that, because at the end of the day, the money that comes out of it that these people share between themselves is more than how much Brazil makes from football as a nation.
Yeah.
It's not. It's like you take Africa, we're not even. I would say we're not even in the top 5, right? So over peanuts, we're willing to sacrifice everything. And that's the part that is really concerning. Because again, like I said earlier, that's the same thing that's happening in politics. You hear, I mean, there's the royal music and situations like that, right? But like you hear somebody has done something that is detrimental to a whole community of people. You go find out it's just for something small, right?
Yeah.
And it's really disheartening, and that's what makes me lose the hope that no, this is not going to change. Because the thing is, the money in football is only getting bigger. So if for peanuts, these people have been doing this, when they see the money that is, like Kudus is going to get on his next transfer, for instance, if they see, oh, we can do this to get some of that, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. It's got to take someone who's going to put their foot down, and it's also kind of stand in front of all the fire and say, I'm going to put a stop to this. Someone with power, unfortunately.
And I read somewhere, I think last year, Ghana transferred about 500 and something players. And you know how much the whole country made from $15 million. And that is 500 and something million. And just Enzo Fernandez moved to Chelsea, gave his former club, I think his Argentine club, about 30 million.
Hmm.
Just one player. And do you know how much that money is going to be used to develop that team he was in, and even the country as a whole? That is, they are not serious. So we forget that if we develop these players well, we'll have a player moving straight from here to a better team, and maybe further on to a bigger club, and the local team will get all these developmental fees or other things, huge amounts. They are not serious. It's, you see, it's selfish interest, and that's what we our people are. You know, okay, when I go, I got about $100,000, $200,000. When my player plays and goes for and is transferred for a cheap price of, at least our players are sold maximum of $400,000. Okay, I'll get something and use it to get a second wife, buy me time, and that's it. Forget about the nation. In our part of the world, the country doesn't come first. It's individuals' pocket that comes first. And that is where we are. And that is why our football is not developing.
Yep.
Yes. Because
Well,
and yes, even sorry, let me add. Morocco has a facility, a youth training facility built for just $1.1 million or something. In Ghana, that same thing will be built for $500 million. We are not serious. And are you
Oh,
telling me that with this 1.1 million, we can have maybe an academy in every region to develop players? No. Our people are just selfish. They just want for quick money and go.
yep. And being in Ghana, I mean, I think we all know this for sure. Like,
Yeah.
whenever I'm so amazed, whenever I see the size of, and this is maybe a non-issue, but it's just I'm yet to see schools that are bigger than churches in Ghana.
mm,
Yeah.
It's like I see churches and they're like humongous, and then you
Yeah.
see primary school, one block, maybe 10 classrooms, and then dirty compound. And I'm like, yo, do we actually think about, like, we talk so much of development? Do we actually care for development? It blows my mind. And so when I see these things in football, it's just like, oh well. See, the bigger problem is just showing up in football. It shows up in education. It shows up in politics. It's just what we're talking about is a symptom of a broader issue in Ghana, and that's the sad part. Our priorities are completely misplaced. We're short-term focused. We're myopic. Everyone is thinking about how they're going to benefit from it today, versus, okay, well, maybe let me use the next 5 years as a developmental phase, so that 5 years from now I can actually enjoy the benefits of it. Like we talk about, I don't want to bring United into it per se, but like for the past 5 years, look at what we've been through, right?
mm.
But then once even I was even before everything had grown him with 4 or 5 players. But he's worked with the players that Ole and other people brought in. You can tell that it's a continuation. He's put the stamp on a plan that has been in place. They realized at some point, like, okay, you know what we've been doing all these years has not been working. So at some point, it's like when they started, it wasn't, and that's why it blows my mind that we know where we are standard wise in comparison to everyone else. But let AFCON start tomorrow. Then you have leaders who are going to bring the cup home. You are who? Like,
Yeah.
with what strength? You've not built anything over the past few years to actually get you to the point where you can confidently say we're going to bring the cup home. So you, at this point, you're just simply manipulating people because you know what emotionally they respond to, and that's part of the problem. Is like we have people who don't have enough of a conscience to say that's wrong. Let's not do that, and let's actually do what we're supposed to do. So that next time we're saying this, it's with the confidence that yes, we can actually bring the cup home.
Well, that's. I'm not sure if you guys actually do remember during the AFCON. Africa itself had this whole huge, uh, you know, revealing or party where almost all these African FA leaders, met in this whole big thing, big conference room or conference center to reveal that. And most of the things that Samuel Eto'o actually, although he was present or had to be there, being summoned, some of the things that he talked about or he helped us see was how much money went into that versus how much uh, Africa's the leaders actually put into persuading fans to actually come watch the game. And I think that's one of the things we talked about previously. And I think Jeffrey mentioned it. The last time we were talking about the sale of Ghana jerseys and everything. We went into the U.S. men's national team's website, and there was actually like a tab in the corner that was indicating that if you need jerseys, just click here and order here. And we go to Ghana FA's website, and there's nothing like that. So individuals are over there profiting from something that we are supposed to be profiting from, and that's the sad part. Talking about the jerseys. We obviously going to move into some very interesting topic about that. But before that, let's just look at the comment section. I think there's a comment from Enoch, and I think it's tackling Enoch's comment. And I think the last time, I don't know, Jeff, you might have missed that segment, but when Misty and I are talking, I did point out, and we did do the calculations. In the World Cup, there's 67% of the countries that participated in the World Cup had Ghanaian descent playing for them. 67% of the countries that played in the World Cup had Ghanaians playing for them. So, and you think about it, man, most of these countries are, predominantly white, with like maybe a few, African players, and most of them are just Ghanaian. So you think about the talent that we have and some of the things that we're not doing to actually retain this, right? Look at Enoch said France had as many as 15 players with African roots in their squads of 23. Belgium had 9 out of 23. England had 4. They had players obviously with Dele Ali and Dan Welbeck at one time, an English player being Ghanaian. And that's one of the things that we talk about, right? We actually we watch these players play for this international team, and then they later regret playing for them. But what do we do initially to get them to play for us? And it stems down to some of these things that we're not able to do, right? Spending unnecessary money on, other things that really do not matter, having leaders who are not really visionaries, who don't really think about the future. We have countries spending less than 2 million to build infrastructure, but yet again, if we had to present a budget, it's actually going to be what, a 500 million or something like that. I have no idea in what situation where we go to Brazil and they present a budget in Kinky. Kinky has a budget in the line in the budget for $10,000. I don't know what kind of Kinky they were eating over there, but these are some of the things that we struggle with, right? So I just want to circle back to the jersey sales and some of the things that we can do to actually just generate income. So we have Osabod Zaraman, and I think most of you guys know him. And this is the guy, and these are his some of his styles, or he believes this. I paid close attention to it, and I'm only bringing this up to let you guys know. So during an interview this week, this guy actually just he confirmed that he had talks with GFA and they were going to give him a contract to design to be a part of the design team for the next World Cup. I missed it. You are in, but well, matter of fact, both of you guys are in Ghana, right? Jeff, what do you think we're going to wear, and how do you think we're going to project Silk with this guy designing the World Cup jerseys? Our next set of jerseys.
We can't cuss on the show. Some BS. And see, and that's the thing, right? It goes back to management, right? Like, give yourselves this picture. Yeah, and because we just use church, I use church as an example, right? If ICGC headquarters, said that Amukakwa Road, right, and they're looking for designers, right, and then and apologies to anyone, I don't mean to offend anyone, but your local Muzamadisco Cristo Church says Amukakwa Road, and they're looking for designers, right? If you're a designer, you look at yourself, right, and you ask yourself, which one is my standard? To the point where you won't even go apply to the ICGC one because you know that, okay, at the level that you're playing with or the level that you're doing your things, let me not even go waste my time. Do you know what I'm saying? Versus, there's people look at your outfit, and that's all part of branding, right? How much brand respect and recognition do you actually get? It's what leads for some people to actually be like, you know what, given the level of quality of your output, even I could do it. So they don't hold back in thinking there's nothing that makes them go, let me not do this, because they see the quality you put out, and in their mind they're like, I can match that, or I can even do better, right? But if your level of quality is high enough, the next time, let's say right now, look at Chelsea. Chelsea has that 3 logo, whatever, right? If Chelsea drops the 3 logo and goes, we're looking for a new jersey sponsor, do you think Chocho Skinke in Medina is going to pick up the phone and call Chelsea? Do you know what I'm saying? She's not, because you yourself, you know what they're. Do you know what I'm saying? You assume, and the interesting thing is when people on the outside of things, when it looks good, their assumption of what it takes is actually a lot of times even bigger than what it's actually going to take to actually get that level of quality. But
Right.
people will still see it for what it is and give it that level of respect. So when you people like this reaching out to you, in his mind is like, yeah, maybe what I have, I know what level is at, but I see what you also, how you operate, what your output is. Given what I see, I think I can do better. This should be like whoever is in managing the brand for the GFA for Black Stars, it should keep them up at night because you're looking at this guy going, he thinks he can do better. What are we doing wrong?
Right.
That's the first thing you should be asking yourself, right? Because when you put it out there and said you're looking for someone, you didn't have professionals who have a high level of, quality in their delivery reaching out. You had this guy. So that should tell you something about your brand.
I know I missed these laughing because I know this guy is one of his favorite designers, and he really he wants to give him a chance, but I missed the go ahead, take it away.
No. Charles, I don't even believe it's true. I don't think. I know GFA are not serious, but I don't think they use it
He said they're not
to
serious.
also on serious man to design our national team jersey. He doesn't even look serious himself. Anyway, you see, sometimes I still don't understand why we never used Virgil Abloh to design any of our jerseys. This guy is renowned, and he got to a time he was using the Ghana brand on a lot of LV stuff, and we never used them. And I still can't understand. But we have someone who is Ghanaian, and I'm sure he would have done it for free, but just because someone is not getting his cut in a deal, will not use him. I'm sure he would have loved to do it for free. Well, look at what he did for AC Milan. I think their
The jacket.
their jacket. It was like a whole world story. It was like top of the level, and we never used it. So this guy is gone, and we are using Osimbo the Zara man, who doesn't even know his left from his right. Now wearing a skirt on top of a trouser. I don't even know what you call that thing. I don't think he's serious. He and GF is on the same level, so I understand.
And that's my whole point.
Yeah, so I understand. If they use him, I'm shocked, but I don't think he himself is a serious guy.
You know the reason why I wasn't really surprised. Honestly, I was surprised. Well, everything that GFA kind of does, does not really surprise me anymore. It just shocks me, like, okay, they're bold right now, right? And I only think they're actually doing it just so they can find a way to, squander some money or try to, pocket some money without people really seeing it, because they can actually just say, this is what you have. Now you can tell the world that is how much we gave you and everything. But Jeff, speaking of what you just sent me, I'm definitely gonna project it, and I want you to speak on it to give us a little insight of what it is.
If you put the picture up, right, it's these guys in New York, and they have roots or they're descendants of Haitians, and just because of their pride in the country, decided, hey, we wanted, they're designers, they're clothing brand designers. So this is one of like 4 different things they did for Haiti, right? And this is Haiti. Haiti is not qualified for. I don't think Haiti will even qualify for AFCON. Like nothing. But look at the quality, right? It's like the point I'm trying to make is, of course, if we could get something from Virgil, it comes with his gravitas behind it, his design, and and all of that. But there are a lot of young Ghanaians who can come up with something like this. And it's you and I know one, Josh, in our group chat. Josh has designed over 300 different renditions of the Ghana jersey. Every year, he's coming up with a new design for Ghana jerseys, and he puts it in the chat, and we all see it. And like, these are nice. And Josh has said he's reached out to GFA so many times. Now, I'm not going to knock GFA on that per se, because there might be some proper channels that you need to go through. There's a contracting process. They have an agreement in place with Puma. They can't just get up one day and be like. But my thing is, if they were eager to actually change it, right? They are not short of creative Ghanaians who could come up with something for them. They've not even bothered to tap into that. Haiti tapped into that and got this. And this is a beautiful jersey.
Oh, yeah.
They have like 3 different or 4 different colors and designs of it. Beautiful jersey. The guys came up with it within like a few weeks, did a few options. The Haiti, whatever the football association has picked it up. And I'm like, we're 4 times bigger than Haiti, right? I'm not knocking Haitians, but we have as many creatives in Ghana, or if not more. So I'm like, so it's not that it's not there's a will, there's a way, right? The will is not there. So let's not even speculate on what it could look like, because if they truly wanted to do it, there are graphic designers living in Ghana today who can come up with something that looks better than this for our national team. Easy. Instead, what do we get? Whatever Puma decides they're going to throw at us, to the point where we got flat screen TVs in front of people's sheds to go play World Cup. What? But hey, again, and going to my earlier point, it's almost like you determine how much respect people give you, because Puma is not doing that for some of the big teams in the world. You determine how much respect people give you. So if somebody's not giving you respect, look at yourself and ask yourself, what are you doing wrong?
Well, I think, when it comes to that, we can certainly just keep going and going. But in light of that, I think Enoch Nia J. Manson said, Osibodi and Gaudi in the forest. And if it's really true that Osibodi Zara man was really going to design a national jersey, then, Ghana is a joke. And, like we said, it's not something that has surprised us, but, it's something that we should definitely be on the lookout for. Because, honestly, I don't think anything they'll do would actually, like I said, would ever surprise me. But, moving on to the next segment before we actually hang up Bruce for the day. Eddie Nketiah's mom has, his family member, not known to say if that's his mom or not, but is very eager for his son to play in the in on the English national team. However, knowing that he has Ghanaian heritage, but however born in England, family members are pushing for him to play um, for England. But no, we have lost a player due to injury in Kofi Tre, and given that we don't have any prolific striker since Samoa Gyan, do you guys think having Eddie Nketiah will fill that void that we have? I mean, given his form that he has right now, he's not Marcus Rashford right now, but given the form that he has right now, do you guys believe that he would have he would fill in that void that Ghana is actually lacking in the front end of the field?
Well,
I mean, go ahead, take it away.
uh, you know, there's no doubt Edin Ketia is one of the most talented players in the EPL. I think he's very good. He just needs a lot of confidence. A coach that can build his confidence. Because the player is good with the ball, apart from scoring, of course. And he's very good at what he does. I'm sure I know we need him in our national team. He's someone who I can trust that when he comes, he's going to deliver. Because we don't have out and out strikers. Iñaki Williams is not out and out. His numbers are not. Eddie Ketia has good numbers in the EPL this season. He misses a lot of sitters. But he's still growing. I'm sure he's about 22, 20 something, so he has a lot to learn. And playing for Arsenal comes with a lot of pressure. And he's feeling Gabriel Jesus' shoe. So it's quite difficult for him, but we need it. I don't think we should let this opportunity go if we have the chance to bring him to the national team. England might use it. England has a long list of strikers they need. They might use him for one, maybe the tournament, the league, the Euro League, whatever, and just one game, then they just let him go. But I would want VFA to keep pushing for this lad. He's good.
See, for me, when it comes to England and when it comes to all these foreign countries, right? One, I don't blame them. If I'm them, I'll do the same thing. If Ghana had the option right now to, I call it stashing players, right? You know you need the player or you don't want the player, but you know the player has potential. So you give them one cap and then you stash them, right? Because of the structure, you can do that. And you keep the player and now he can never go play for you. It's like, if you ask me, I'm like, I'll do that and if I get the chance. This is what I say. I like the players. I blame the players primarily because this is not the first time any of these countries are doing that. Especially in England. England has done it to many players. You have if Welbeck today could play for Ghana, he would come running.
Of course. Same as Balotelli. Don't forget the great Balotelli as well.
Yeah. Right.
Publicly said he actually regret not playing for Ghana.
Exactly. Like Memphis Depay, like if you ask me, it's like times when things are not well with Netherlands, I think he wishes he could. The point I'm trying to make is, and to Amicy's point, England has like a surplus of strikers. England at the gate will always go with a color preference. They're not about to start a black kid over Harry Kane. Marcus Rashford was not getting started on this English team. Marcus Rashford. And Nketiah is not a better player than Marcus Rashford right now or ever previously, right? But my thing is, should they get the chance to tie Nketiah, they will, right? Because Nketiah could become better than the Rashford, could become better than they get to put him in the safe bank account until he gets better. If he gets better, then they can just go pick him up anytime they want. If you're a black player and you're seeing this and you're seeing it unfold, this story, this narrative that we're talking right now, Sam, myself, we're not seeing anything that is groundbreaking. We're not sitting here trying to look into the future and go, oh, this is what they. What we're saying is what everybody knows, right? But if you're choosing in the face of that and you have this invisibility mentality that it won't happen to me, and you go do it. Excuse my language, you're a bastard. Because at the end of the day, you've seen it happen to people who are even better than you, right? And like, if you still want to go down the path, whatever comes your way, I don't commiserate. I don't have sympathy for you. So for me, if we get Nketiah, would I be happy? Of course, we get a good player. He can represent us. He can score some good goals. He can lead our forward line. If we lose Nketiah tomorrow, I'm not worried because at the end of the day, for a country of 30 million and however many that we have in the diaspora, we will find somebody to lead the line. Even if it's Inaki Williams and he's not scoring, he's still going to lead the line. We will find somebody. What I'm not going to do is hold out for one player. I think if you look at the great teams like of the past and current, it's when the managers and the coaches know how to prioritize the team over the player. That's why we're winning today. We've learned to prioritize the team over players. So if it works at a club level, there's no reason why it won't work at the national level. And that's why I say all the time: if imagine if you're a player for Ghana, and or you get called, to play for Ghana, and then the day you get there, you get some kind of documentation around, hey, this is how we operate as a team. Here's our philosophy. Here are the rules of the team. Here are the bylaws. This is how we move. You won't get people acting the way that whatever we always hear out of camp, starting from the Kevin Prince Boateng's and the Mataris, things like that will not happen because they come in and in their minds it's like there's a structure. It's a bigger structure. It's bigger than myself. I have to fit into the structure. But it's like the way we're chasing at the kids. Yeah, like my guy, like woman and call. I'm so quiet. Let him go. Like you go and experience it, and then 10 years from now, write a book and talk about how you regret it. We'll read the book and we'll not. Yep, we saw that coming. Who amongst them didn't see Italy coming? It's you. It as dark as you are in Italy. You trying to make you a legend. No, no. But you thought, oh, like I'm that good or I'm that invincible or whatever. Okay, go touch the fire. When it burns you, don't come and expect us to be like, oh wow, did they do that to you? You knew they were going to do that to you. So for me, I'm like, I'm very indifferent when it comes to these things. If you want to come on down. You're now in my camp. I'm going to help you. I'm doing everything I can do to support and give to you. But if you choose not to come into my camp, you're dead to me. Like Mr. Wonderful would say, you're dead to me. I don't care. Go your way. When it happens to you, enjoy it. That's it.
I think there's some kind of spike to what Jeff was saying, given that he's a United fan and he's an Arsenal fan. But we do understand we do understand what you mean, though. We have seen, to be honest, to be fair with you, Jeff, we've seen a lot of these stories. Matter of fact, not even a lot. We've seen all these stories. Almost every single player who was eligible to play for Ghana or was eligible to play for any other African nation. Well, I wouldn't say any African nation, but let me just narrow it down to Ghana. Every African player who was eligible to play for Ghana but decided to play for any European nation ended up regretting. Not necessarily because he wasn't getting playtime, but because of how he was treated at the end of the day. Not being hailed as he was supposed to, or not being seen as great as he was supposed to be seen. So, with family, obviously, family is always going to have the final say. But with family, kind of just seeing how things are unfolding in the camp of Black Stars, I wouldn't be surprised with them, trying to influence him to play for a more stable national team like the Three Lions. But Misty, I want you to just kind of give us your take on this Nketiah situation too.
Well, as Jeff said, nobody's bigger than the Black Stars of Ghana. And I believe Black Stars of Ghana is even bigger than the Three Lions of England because they have everything, they don't win anything. But
Don't
you
forget,
see,
football might be coming home.
oh,
Fuck you, guys.
how
Come
many
home
years?
is come home. Football is Kubala. It's not going home.
It's not going home.
Football is
So,
Kubala.
so yeah, Eddie Nketiah, like, he's not a bad player. I would love him to play for the national team, no doubt about it. But that's the thing is, no one should force him. He should have the willpower to play because he should understand why playing for the national team or what it's going to do to his career progress. And but the truth is, the other issue is sometimes you can't blame it. It's the stories they hear. You hear stories of okay, the boys are in camp and now we have people. Some of the boys have juju, and which are not lies. They are true stories from the players themselves. You can't use someone's comb to brush your hair because they have juju, they have something tied around their waist and their boots. You can't share everything, and it's scary for them. So him choosing England might not just be because he wants to play. England has a stable national team, but because I don't even think they even have a stable national team.
Mm.
But because of some of these stories they hear, they believe that they cheat. You need to know someone up there before you play and all these things. So that is something, as I heard from the Moroccan as well, as they need to just rebrand, let the players know that coming into the national Ghana Black Stars is not just about you. Maybe you can fit in and all these stories might not be true. Because we have cases where players get injured and they said no FA member even calls them. They get injured on national team duty and no GFA member or the nation, no one checks up on them. So they are back and playing. Then a coach will come and say, hey, come back to the national team. No normal player would like to play. These are some of the things he should work out. So I understand him. I don't think he knows the story of. I'm sure Danny Welbeck and other people talk to him that see when you play one game for England national team, that might be the end of your national team career. You might not go for any World Cup. But the other side of the story is also what they hear about our national team, the issues there, the juju and the pay to play and the no one, like no welfare in the team. You play, you go, they don't even care. Then you can get injured today. All they need is your club to fly you back, and that's it. And you are good to go. You understand? So yeah, I think
Yeah,
it comes
but I
down
mean,
to
I want to balance it with the fact that it's not like if they go to these other foreign, teams, it's all peace and quiet and roses and milk and honey. It's like imagine being Bukayo Saka or Rashford after missing that penalty. At that point, you're like, I want to mess with that Juju Ghana has because
Yeah.
the kind of experience you're getting there as well. So,
mm,
there are pros and cons everywhere. But my thing is, look, at the end of the day, it's like you have to look at it as you're a professional, and that's where I'm coming at it from. You're a professional. This is a profession. This is a business decision you're making. And so for me, it's like when I look at it that way, to give any other reason to tell me that, oh, I'd rather go take my chance with England than with Ghana. I look at it from two ways. Okay, cool. If you get the opportunity with England, look, Marcus Rashford scores one goal with England is worth more than the day you scores five for Ghana. I'm being honest, right? And so for his career, one goal for England means more financially, means more from a business standpoint than 10 goals for Ghana. I get that point.
yeah.
But it's high risk, high reward, right? To me, if you ask me, given the talent that you have, given the prowess that you have as a professional, Ghana's a bet because one, Edin Ketia will walk on the Ghana team. If Edin Ketia decides that he wants to play for Ghana, the day before our squad is announced, he declares his eligibility to play for Ghana. The next day, when the squad is announced, his name will be there. Probably Nike Williams' name will not be on it, right? So you're gonna. So again, looking at it from a business standpoint, it's like, well, okay, this investment is telling me that guaranteed, I'm at the very least going to get 8%. Versus this is telling me I could get 30%, but I could also get zero. Do you get what I'm saying? So at that point, it's like, is it a business decision you're making, or is it oh, I'd rather play for England because it looks good on my resume, or because it looks good on my CV, or like people will think better of me, or like, oh, I've heard there's juju in the camp, so I'd rather go deal with racism. Like, I completely understand that it's a lot of factors that you have to weigh. Where I don't understand it is when those factors are not business focused factors, right? When it's based on hearsay and things like that. I'm like, okay, I personally just can't understand it.
No. You know, there's a lot to take in today. Given that we're just certainly at the end of the road here. I know last week or the week before, we certainly did talk about the possibility of one of our players not, being stuck under the rubble, not knowing exactly what was wrong and everything. And I think it's something that you definitely quite mentioned is even if worse push came to worse, like we certainly did want his body home. And this,
Yeah.
I believe last week we did hear that the sad news of Christian Ashu. With everyone here in Hunt Sports as well as everyone radio, we certainly would like to express our greatest condolence to his family um, and the whole nation. I'm not sure how Ghana is really embracing or just taking this news, but I'll let you guys speak to it. Missy, I know you've always been a fan of him, although he needed a lot of national. There's a very painful death. It's very bad tragedy and everything, but just a quick minute for each and every one of us. Just share your thoughts on it. Mr. You can go ahead before Jeff takes over.
Well, it's definitely saddening to hear this for a player like Christian Ati who has done so good for the national team. And it's other things he does on the side of helping other people and other good things he does. But you know, you I'm I'm sad but I'm calm because at least his body was calm. That is what I will even remember the last time I think that's all I was praying for. At least if he's dead, he should find his body. He can't just be waiting for his family to still be thinking about okay now where is he? Is he somewhere? Is he and all those things. It even makes it more difficult for them. But with this I'm sure maybe in the next few years or something they will get over it and just move on. So for a player and all boils down to you will supply a player who is 31 and can't even find a good club to play and just running around in Turkey. It's sad, sad, and all that. These are some of the things we look at for our players. Fine, he might not be playing for the national team, but he's still a hero for the nation because he won the best player of an AFCON tournament. And that is so big. And if you see how they celebrated him across Europe, I think last week, that shows
Mhm.
how they appreciate football. They appreciate the sport. But here in our case, we just had fanfare, there was nothing. Even we that like he's from here, we didn't celebrate him like that. So it's sad. It's sad. So sad that you wonder is it really good to even die for a nation, as they say. But it's sad. I feel sad. I just hope his family is making is just okay now. Especially his wife and kids, who are very important at the moment.
I completely agree. It's just like I've been initially I was like I mean I think when his body came, I think the vice president said they're gonna give him like a state burial and things like that. It's been a week now. I've not really heard much about that, but it's really unfortunate because it's like you know I mean national teams don't pay as well as club teams and whatnot. So sometimes when you're sacrificing yourself for national teams, it's with this understanding of it's for a greater good and it's also for something bigger than yourself.
Mm.
And I hope that they make good on that promise and send him off well at the very least to give some closure to his family. And it's like I saw videos of his twin sister who was like devastated and things like that. So it's really sad. And I think for me, it's like what has been really encouraging. I think I missed you touched on it. It's hearing the number of people who are coming out talking about how he's been able to help them, and give of himself to the benefit of others in a way where it's like wow, like it got me thinking. I'm like, man, I want to make sure like if whenever my time is up, people can actually say these kind of things about me as well.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah, it's like like you said, all the best to his family, condolences. We just keep them in our prayers because there's nothing you can say that would really begin to put them at ease.
Yeah, I think there's one thing, he really, like I'm saying, really, celebrated, across Europe. He played for, some great clubs and, across Europe, like, likes of Chelsea, Newcastle, Everton, almost all the English Premier Leagues actually celebrated him so well, as well as any other the other clubs around the world or the European nations. But I think it's something that we could certainly just table up for discussion next week. I know Jeff. When Brittany Griner was in a Russian prison, all the NBA, all the major sports, and in America kind of wore his shirt, with Brittany Griner's name and everything. And like Amisti is saying, we didn't see anything like that back home in Ghana. The leagues did not do anything. Like everybody was just hoping. At some point they're declaring a day of prayer. And I don't want to go back to this biblical thing or this church thing that we talked about, but like Amisti is saying, it makes it hard to believe that idea of just dying for your country. But again, I think he did touch base on it again, going back to what I missed. He said, if we have, kind of a solid, um, foundation in terms of raising players or just exploring or just making sure, better teams or bigger teams come home to exploit our players. For someone who's one of the best players in AFCON, it's not something light to talk about, but it's I don't think playing a game at Turkey. I don't think he should be in Turkey playing a player of his magnitude and what he can do. But again, we're not gonna justify his death or just try to push blame on him per se. But this is a wake up call to Ghana. This is a wake up call to Africa. This is a wake up call to to any football organization or football association in Ghana to definitely do better to make sure our players would sacrifice themselves for Ghana. Definitely put a much better state. But we are certainly out of time today, and with that, we certainly want to thank our viewers. Want to thank our listeners. Come next week, thanks to our sponsors, we do have some giveaways for our listeners. We do have some gift cards that we're definitely going to give away next week to our participants. And I know if we were starting today, I know Enoch, you certainly won a couple gift cards today if we were starting today. But now, fortunately, we are starting next week. Thank you for your contribution. Just like you said, Osipodi and Kaforest, but not designing, Ghana national team. To our viewers on YouTube, Facebook, and our audio stream, we'd like to thank you guys for tuning in today, as well as my co-host Jeff and Misty. I know it's late in Ghana. Thank you guys for joining, and I miss you guys, and I hope to see you guys soon. Until then, see you guys clocking out.
Adios.
All right.
Right.